Hi, this is Gary Dranow from Park City, Utah, and the Gary Dranow Show. Proudly broadcasting to you from Radio Evolve Rocks in Santa Barbara, California. Listen more and evolve. Hey everyone, I'm Gary Dranow, and this is the Gary Dranow Show. Today I'm thrilled to welcome guitarist, singer, and songwriter Sherjan Ahmad, an artist who's performed on Koch Studio Season 10 and on stages alongside South Asia's legendary rock outfit Janoon. He's also collaborated and performed with names like Rahat Fateh, Ali Khan, Ali Noor, and We'll Talk Roots, Sufi Rock. Is it Sufi Rock or Sufi Rock?
Sufi Rock.
Sufi Rock, Cultural Bridges, and what's next for Sherjan. So Sherjan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Gary. This is a great honor to be on your show, and I'm excited to talk to you about, this journey, this musical journey.
Well, I'm pumped as my 717,000 subscribers will be. Um, for listeners meeting you for the first time, give us the snapshot. How did music start for you, and what are the moments you're most proud of so far?
Yes. So, this musical journey actually dates back to this Rockland County, New York. It's a little, there's a town there, Tappan, New York, where my father grew up and his family grew up here. And he and his friend in high school, Brian O'Connell, they had a band, and they won the Battle of the Bands at Tappan Zee High School. But my father had to move to Pakistan because I don't know if you know this, but in South Asia, parents are very conservative, and they want their kids to become doctors. So
Doctors,
when
lawyers, and accountants, right?
Yes. But the funny story is my dad, he was in his room one day and one of his uncles came in and he sees a poster of Jimi Hendrix, in the back.
My man, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, I heard you knew Jimmy?
Uh, no, I saw Jimmy in '67 at in Northridge, California.
Wow.
So I did not personally know Jimmy, but I did recently interview a gentleman with the last name of Velez, who was on stage with Jimmy as a percussionist at Woodstock.
Wow.
But
That's one.
tonight I'm performing. I will be playing at least seven or eight Hendrix songs. So uh, I I first heard Jimmy when I was 12 years old, and it just rocked my world.
Oh yeah.
And Eric Clapton's Crossroads is what got me to buy my first guitar. So
Wow.
yeah, so let's concentrate on you though. Let's not talk about
Yeah,
me.
that's awesome.
So there was a
No,
poster
that's
of
cool to
Jimi
know.
Hendrix on your dad's bedroom wall.
Yes. So his uncle walks in, and my dad's like wailing on the guitar, and there's a Hendrix poster in the back. And he asks him, "So, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Right? To my dad. So, my dad points at the Hendrix poster and he says, "I want to be that." And he just goes in shock, like, oh, like he tells his parents, all right, he has to move back because if he stays in the US,
He's
he'll
going to
end
get
up,
corrupted.
he's gonna get corrupted, yeah. So my dad goes back to Pakistan and over there's no music. There's like no rock music or anything. And he starts around like 10 underground bands there. And the first band that he was in, Vital Signs, they had this super hit called Dil Dil Pakistan, and they became like the Beatles of Pakistan. They became like this
Seriously.
sensation. Yeah, they were
Wow.
like everywhere they
How
went.
old was your dad then?
He was 23, 24, very
Okay.
young, like
Okay.
out of college. But they had creative differences, so he left that band. And he started from scratch again. So he called his friend, the one that I just mentioned, Brian O'Connell from Tappan, New York, to
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan. So he came to Pakistan
Brian
and
O'Connell dared to come to Pakistan.
he
Was he a
dared to come to
blonde-haired
Pakistan.
kid?
Blonde hair kid, blue eyes,
Yeah.
and he had a winter coat on in the heat of Karachi, Pakistan, like hot over there. And he ended up staying there for 10, 15 years because,
Seriously. Did he
yeah.
learn to speak Pakistani?
Oh yeah, he speaks great Pakistan Urdu. He speaks great
Urdu,
Urdu.
Urdu, yeah.
Yeah. So they formed this band Janoon, which means passion, like obsessive passion. And so it was my dad, Salman, Brian, and Ali Azmat, the vocalist, and they just blew vital signs away too. They became even bigger than that. And the best way I would describe that music for you is it's like Led Zeppelin meets Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, um, the Cavalli singer, legendary, who collaborated with Peter Gabriel as well.
Hmm.
Um, so Janoon won the Channel V Awards, beating Sting, Def Leppard, Oasis, and they became like the international best band at the Channel V Awards. So that's where this
Was that
music
like the MTV of the South Asia?
kind of, yeah, yeah. So Channel V was more like a British music show. I think it was a music television show. And it was taking place in India, which I don't know, Gary, that Pakistan and India have always
My
had.
my assistant's in India.
Oh, okay. So this was quite historic because Pakistan and India are two like nuclear neighbors, and they've never all
Yeah.
they've never had the best of relations. So for a Pakistani band to win in India was
Unheard of.
unheard of, revolutionary. And they had this huge hit, which is still a cult classic, Sayoni, which is still
You played
sung.
on, and that was Koch Studio 10 track Sayani, right?
Yes, yes.
And what about Gumtana?
Yes, Kumtana is another hit song that we played on for Koch Studio season 10. So that's a little backstory I just wanted to give you for Janoon and how that, I grew up in that basically in Pakistan. I grew up in this s- sort of not normal
The
lifestyle.
underworld.
Yeah, the underworld. And growing up in Pakistan, I would go to school and it was like kids would just want to be friends with you, and you didn't know if it was because because of the fame or they genuinely want to be friends with you. And Gary, I had teachers who would come up to me and be like, "Oh, I heard you're having a birthday party at your house." And
Can I come?
yeah, can I come? And I'm only 5 years old. I'm only
Oh
five
my
years
God.
So it was so abnormal growing up in that time. And
And what years were these?
this was 90, 96, 97,
Okay.
up till 2000, 2002 when I actually moved to the US.
Okay.
So at that point in my life, I always joke with my friends that Janoon was the first show I ever saw as a kid. With I've got the headphones on to protect the ears, and
Ah,
I was just blown away by that music.
didn't you? You played with Janoon though, right?
Yes, yes,
So this is a multi-generational thing.
absolutely. So I'm sort of continuing that legacy and that tradition, where it started in Pakistan. And the guitar actually came to me much later when I moved to the US. So that was an interesting story.
So your dad didn't share guitar with you?
So it's interesting. He never forced me, or me. I have two brothers. He never forced us like, oh, you should do music. You should learn a guitar. Naturally, when I started gravitating towards the instrument, he showed me very basic chords, in the beginning.
Cowboy
He
chords.
Cowboy chords, yeah, like your G, D, C,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. First position, open chords. Yep.
open chords, yes. And he'd be traveling quite a bit, so he never was there enough to, always be there to guide and teach me on the guitar. So I noticed I had this ability to figure stuff out by ear. So I would listen to songs I loved, watch people's fingers as they're playing, and I could replicate that, which
That's
was
just a
pretty cool.
fantastic talent to have. I mean, I don't have any of that. I wrote
How
a
did
song
you how did
called
you
"The Day I
learn?
Was Born," where hard knocks, man. I've been
Yeah.
playing for 61 years, but
Wow.
guitar did not come to me naturally, and ripping music off of records just was not happening for me. So I'm still studying to this day. Hey, I see diplomas behind you, and we're
Yeah.
talking about in Pakistan how parents want their kids to be lawyers, accountants, and doctors. What are those certificates?
So these are actually non-related to music or anything. These are Ayurvedic certificates. So my mother actually, she practices as an Ayurvedic holistic doctor.
What's
Uh,
Ayurvedic?
Ayurvedic is like natural medicine, like
Okay.
natural remedies to heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So both of my parents, surprisingly, actually are doctors. But my father continued with music. My mom practices, natural medicine and holistic health counseling. So none of us, me and my brothers, none of us became doctors.
So those are not your certificates there. Those are your parents, your
So these
mom's.
are mixed. So some of them are mine, and some are my mom's Ayurvedic diplomas.
So you are well versed in Ayurvedic medicine.
Kind of, yeah. Because my mom, she has taught quite a bit to me and my brothers. So we kind of, absorb all of that and definitely use that in our own lives for sure.
Does it work?
Well, if they say if the pain is too bad, sometimes you do have to take the
I
medicine.
just came from my pain doctor's office this morning.
Oh,
I
really?
I was a motocross racer, a ski racer, bicycle racer. I hit the pavement and the ground and the dirt more times than I can tell you.
Oh
And
my God.
I'm lucky I don't have CTE, which is, what football players
Yeah.
get from too many concussions, because I
Concussion.
had 4 or 5 major concussions. Anyways, um, you played guitar on Koch Studio 10 tracks, Sayani and Gumtana. What did those sessions teach you?
Yes. So that opportunity, but and I have to go back to this. I kind of had to audition for that too. It wasn't like I was just given that opportunity to play on those songs. And the producers of that season saw me come in, play, in the sessions, and they approved. They were like, "Oh, okay, he's done his work. He knows what he's doing here." And it was amazing because there's this huge South Asian Qawwali artist, Rahat Fateh Ali Khan,
Mm-hmm. You
who
didn't hear.
sung on this song as well, Sayuni, was originally a Janoon
What
song.
what is the scale that is used in primarily his music? I
Yeah.
would assume it's not the minor or major pentatonic.
Well, you'd be surprised with a lot of fusion stuff that does come in at times, but you're right. A lot of the scales and modes in this kind of music is like the Eastern classical, which is your harmonic minor scale,
Okay.
your melodic minor, a lot of actually Lydian, Mixolydian, and Phrygian as
Phrygian,
well.
Phrygian, okay.
Yes, very common because a lot of that South Asian music is very modal and uses a lot of chromatics vocally.
Okay, and that's where you get that really cool. That I
Yes,
can't, I
yeah,
can't, I
yeah.
can't do, I can't even come close to replicating how they sing, but it's very interesting to the Western ear.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I've noticed in the Western music it's more straighter, I guess the vocals like take they don't use a lot of those I guess the best way to connect it to Western music would be like runs, right? Like when
Hmm.
singers do runs, that's kind of like a Cavalli type of flavor in there when you're doing runs.
Okay, well, listen, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back after the break, we'll dig into Janoon, Sufi Rock, and how music cuts across borders. So
Yes.
give us 2 minutes, and me and Sherjan will be right back.
I found myself alone, chasing stars and the moon, lost all that I knew. Gave you up without a clue. Now I'm waiting for the sun to rise. Yeah, I'm waiting for the morning light. And I fell 8 feet down, blinded by things around. If you look in your heart, you will find me there. Take me back to simple days when we had no worries. Now I'm waiting for the sun to rise. Yeah, I'm waiting for the morning light. I fell 8 feet down, blinded by things around. If you look in your heart.
So, Sherjan, you got long hair, man, and my hair frizzes out. It doesn't fall to my shoulders like yours does. How is your hair taken to the man or woman on the street in Pakistan?
Well, it's funny, Gary. If you're walking in Pakistan with long hair, they might think you're homeless. Or they might come up to you and be like, maybe you should cut your hair, you know.
Or here's some money.
Here's some money. Maybe they think you can't afford the haircut.
Oh, that's interesting. Um, uh,
And actually, that's a funny story, that funny point you make as well, because my dad and Janoon, when they were, back in the 90s, when they were playing gigs and touring Pakistan, they had long hair. So it was actually very uncommon for people to have that. And they kind of made it cool because when they had it and they were on
so
TV,
the kids were growing their hair longer,
oh
or
yeah, a whole generation of kids started growing their hair, and their parents are like wondering, what are you guys doing? But that's the power of music
say it in
and
Urdu. Say it in Urdu.
Urdu. Yeah, so
In
in Urdu,
Urdu.
like a parent would go up to the kid and be like, "Apne ye baal kaat lo," which means you should just cut your hair now. It's too long.
Um, let's talk Janoon. For folks
Yes.
in the US who might be new to them, what made Janoon the phenomenon it became, and where do you see its influences today?
Yes. So, a lot of listeners who I'm sure there's many that have heard of Janoon but don't know really the backstory and how they, you know, became
Yeah,
across.
I'm just going to add this. It was co-founded by your dad in 1990.
Yes. He,
How,
so
how old
he,
is your dad today?
my dad now is 62, I believe. Yeah.
To me, he's a child. I'm 71. All
Oh,
right,
wow.
so continue with your story.
Yes, so Janoon, right when I told you when he left the vital signs. He wanted to do his own music, wanted to follow his own heart. And the music that he wanted to do, I feel, was something that was not acceptable, or like people could not grasp it at first. It was the kind of music that took time to hit people.
Was it
Um,
progressive rock at all, or was it following Hendrix?
So it was taking that Led Zeppelin, Hendrix, classic rock, Western rock and roll, and then fusing it with the Eastern uh, percussion, like tablas,
Mm-hmm.
Qawwali music, and using Eastern poetry, like Sufism. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
No, I'm
Very,
not.
very
I'm
famous.
sheltered. My my
So I think,
wife my wife grew up in Saudi Arabia.
oh
Um,
wow,
she was
okay.
born in Bethesda, but her father and mother, her father took a job in Saudi Arabia, so she spent a lot of her youth, in Arabic uh, places. So, but you were saying,
Yes, that's amazing, by the way. So famous Sufi poet Rumi, I'm sure you might have heard of his name. He came up with this devotion poetry, which is it's basically connecting to the divine, uh,
hmm
but it can also be a metaphor for the beloved. So it's like this beautiful metaphor, of connecting with the divine. So he wrote that
is
poetry.
that like the universe, or it's more defined than that?
It's basically connecting to God through
Okay.
poetry, music, devotional music. So Sufi music actually is devotional music. And what my dad did was he loved both sides. He loved your Hendrix, Zeppelin, and then his roots, which were the East, the Sufism, the tablas, the percussion, the Eastern percussion. And he put that together, which was kind of like blasphemous. You could be like, how could you do something like that?
So
Like that's
he's lucky he didn't get stoned to death, huh?
well, there's a funny story to that too. He was at a talent show in this is 80s, late 80s in Pakistan, and he's performing Eddie Van Halen's Eruption at the talent
He
show.
could play that?
Yeah.
So his alternate picking is insane.
Oh yeah, yeah. He like grew up on that
Like
stuff.
what,
So
210 beats per minute, and he's just alternate picking like
just
Eddie?
shredding. Yeah, like Eddie. So he's closing his eyes and he's playing and there's like loud screams coming. So he's thinking like, "Oh, I'm killing it." Like people are going crazy.
And they're going, ah!
No, he opens his eyes and there's these strict, like religious group that enters, and they're throwing chairs and they're basically yelling that you can't do this, and they take his guitar and they basically break it,
Oh
and
my
he
God.
joked.
I hope it
He
wasn't a 60s Strat.
You know what? I think it might have been a Strat, but I'm not sure which kind it was. But he jokes about this and he says, we're the ones who are supposed to be breaking the instruments.
Right, right. The Who did it, so we can.
We can. So, it really was, Janoon really was, came out of struggle because first you didn't have this acceptance. And then when it became really huge, this whole concert culture started in Pakistan. People would go out and see bands, and Janoon would perform all over the country. And I think the thing that crossed them over really was what they collaborated with Peter Gabriel and Sting. From that Channel V Awards, they really break through to even the Western market
So
and
some mainstream Western market. Yeah.
mainstream Western markets. And I'm not sure if you know this, but they performed at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony in Oslo, where you had
I did not know that.
Alicia Keys, Melissa Etheridge, John Legend, and And they've also like performed with Bono of U2 as well. So they really
Well,
did great things.
Janoon is like compared the U2 of South Asia, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, New York Times coined that term for them. Yeah.
It's
And
huge.
they actually like they created the Sufi rock genre basically. So
I was
that's
just
a
going to ask you,
yeah.
how would you explain Sufi rock to the first time listener?
So Sufi rock, Gary, I can tell your influences must be similar to mine. It's like if you love Zeppelin, if you love Hendrix, if you love Clapton, Van Halen, all of that
Catch my
rock.
show tonight. I'll embarrass you. How bad I really am.
I would love to check it out. And if you put that with the Eastern percussion, the Eastern traditional music, that's what Sufi rock is. It's this amalgamation of the East and the West. And it's so beautiful because me personally and my dad, we both are living lives where the East and the West are very t entangled. They're together.
Got it. So fusion is a great word for it.
Fusion,
Um,
yes, that would be the word. Yeah.
yeah. Um, you've grown up in America with deep roots in Pakistan. What have you felt on stage about music dissolving language and cultural walls?
That's a great question. So, coming to America, I think that story I would love to tell you as well. So, having lived this life, of having a famous dad in a famous band in Pakistan, you're growing up in a very abnormal environment where your education is kind of suffering too because you're going to schools and people are just there, they want something, or that's what it seems like. Um, so we moved to the US because my dad and mom wanted to get out of that space, basically. It was too much, too much to
Hmm.
handle. And they were really looking out for me and my brother's education too. They wanted us to go to really good schools, and kind of build ourselves and on merit, basically, on our own terms and not just be given something. So I
So,
went,
like the fledgling being pushed out of the nest, there you went. But
absolutely, yeah,
but
that's
you but you found yourself in music like your dad. I mean, that's pretty. My dad was a businessman, so was I for 40, 50 years. So I kind of followed in his footsteps. But music called me my whole life. And my cousin is Barry DeVorzon. He wrote the theme song for Nadia's theme for the Olympics,
oh wow.
which is the Bless the Beast and the Children, and still is on that cop show. I can't think of the name. Anyways, he would take me in the studio when I was 9, 10 years old. And I saw the association record when I was 9 or 10. So yeah, I was very affected by music. So I would imagine your father's music was a big influence on you.
Yes, absolutely. And that music is what inspired me to pick up the guitar, at the age of 13 when I was in the US.
So you and
Um,
I picked up the guitar at the same age. How about that?
wow. Did you pick 13?
13 is when I got my
Wow.
first Stratocaster from Ernie Ball's Guitar on Ventura Boulevard. Uh,
Wow.
uh, the guitar you're playing behind me here, what is that? I don't
So
recognize it.
yeah, so that guitar, Gary, if I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Music Man that came
Of
out.
course I am.
Yeah, so
I
it's
had a Music Man,
actually
Steve Morse, just so you
oh
know.
wow. So this one is not the Music Man, but it's kind of inspired from that. This is the Eddie Van Halen Wolfgang PV collection.
Oh, I should have recognized it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
plays amazing, plays amazing.
So those are humbuckers then.
Yeah.
Do they also
And
split or are they just humbuckers?
it doesn't split. Yeah, it's just got the, three pickups, and just a volume knob. That's all it is. But it sounds like a beast, a
Yeah, I
monster.
mean, I've got a EVH guitar, which is the same setup,
Oh
volume
yeah.
knob, no tone knob. One of my '87 guitars. Um, any story where a diverse audience all lit up to the same groove, proving that musical speaks before words?
Yes. So that's the one thing I wanted to mention to you as well, Gary, that when I moved to the US, we moved in 2002, and this was right after 9/11, when being a Pakistani and a Muslim, probably not the best place to be in New York, like at
Yeah.
that time. And my first day of school, I'll be honest with you, I got bullied when I went to Tappan Zee High School. Same, not high school, it was Cottage Lane Elementary School. I was like fourth grade, and same district my dad went when he was a kid.
So was your
And
dad born in the U.S.?
he was born same city I was, Lahore, Pakistan, and
Okay.
but he grew up in Rockland County, New York.
New York, yeah.
And that's the same place I then grew. When we moved, that's where we went, and I went to the same schools. And the first day I remember I came home, crying to my mom, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, let's just go back home. Like, this is too much to handle. As a
So
fourth grader.
racism and bigotry and the whole nine
Racism,
yards.
bigotry, everything. Yeah, you get on the bus and no one wants to give you the seat. You're trying to go walk all the way back, and no
Jeez,
one's. And
that's
at
terrible.
one point, I remember I was standing. One time I remember I was standing throughout, and one day out of the blue, surprisingly, an Indian kid let me sit next to him, which I thought was interesting because even our countries don't
Because
have
India and Pakistan don't
Pakistan.
like each other. Yeah.
Other, yeah, and an Indian kid befriended me. But then, I noticed what really broke that wall that you just mentioned was music. When I picked up the guitar and when I started playing music, I would be doing that at my school. And it's crazy, Gary. All the kids that bullied me ended up becoming my friends.
Really?
So yeah, yeah, and it's kind of insane to think that, but I re really believe that music is this, sacred gift that can transcend, no matter where you're from, what your background is, what language you speak, what faith you have, it just o breaks down those walls and opens hearts.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And to me, I think music is divine. Um,
Absolutely.
so we have to take another break. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Sherjan's uh, coming of age as a musician, both in Pakistan and in the U.S. So we'll be right back.
यादें पुरानी तेरी मेरी यादें बातें हमारी तेरी मेरी बातें याद है तुझे दिल की बातें आंखें मिले दिल रुक जाए तू है कहाँ अभी तू ही बता तू है कहाँ मेरे पास तो आ कोई बताए मुझे कोई समझाए तुझे ये लम्हा दोस्ती और प्यार कोई बुलाए तुझे रातें अंधेरी सपने जागे वादे हमारे खो गए सारे तू है कहाँ अभी तू ही बता तू है कहाँ मेरे पास तो आ कोई बताए मुझे कोई समझाए तुझे ये लम्हा
We're with Sherjan, the famous guitar player from Janoon, and so much more. Um, so what got me my first guitar is I was driving up Ventura Boulevard with my mother, and Eric Cream's Crossroads came on the radio, and I think it was one of the first times it was played because it was recorded live, and in early '68, I believe. So I'm off maybe 6 months. Anyways, I said, Mom, turn the car around because I knew Ernie Ball's guitar was on Ventura Boulevard, just south of the high school we lived behind. So we walked in, and the salesman pulled the white Strat off the wall and said, "This is the guitar." And he made me promise I would never sell the guitar. And to this day, I still have the guitar.
Wow.
So that's my story. What's yours?
And this is the same Ventura Boulevard that Tom Petty mentions in his song.
Yes, the same one. San
Wow.
Fernando Valley in Southern California, outside of LA.
That's so cool. So my first guitar, Gary, I got it in 2007. It was the Sam Ash in Paramus, New Jersey. And the first one I ever got was this Epiphone SG, red. Your the kind of like the Angus Young one, but it was an
Hmm.
Epiphone SG. And I have to tell you, Epiphone guitars are great. And the tone that I
Well, my
got from
jazz
that,
boxes are all Epiphones and Ibanez. So
they're amazing. And I still have that guitar
was
and
it was a Japanese guitar, right?
Epiphone.
Well, the year of your guitar was made in
Oh
Japan.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure. I'm sure it
because the
was a Japanese
craftsmanship
one.
was so good.
Yeah, and it was as good as a Gibson, as good as a Gibson SG, in my opinion, because I made I used that guitar quite a lot in my early years, starting out as a musician.
So, how old were you when you were a full-fledged musician, where you really could stand on your own with stage with anybody?
So, in high school, Gary, I formed a band, a high
Be
school.
stills.
These stills, yes.
Okay.
Now, this is a cool story because it kind of connects. There's quite a lot of parallels between my dad's story and mine. When my dad was in high school, he had a friend, Brian O'Connell, that ended up being with him in Janoon. When I went to high school, there was this drummer that I met, and he's a few years younger to me, Taylor Simpson. And the first day we jammed, there was this like magical feeling, which I'm sure you can relate when you play with musicians. It's just fit, you just knew, okay, this works. And we formed this band, the B Stills. It was a couple other friends of ours from high school. And I started to get into songwriting at this point. And there was this band, still is a band, Coldplay. Um,
Yeah, still a band.
and the lead singer of that band, Chris Martin, I just loved how his voice sounded. Like I feel like
Hmm.
it sounded different to me. It didn't sound like any regular singing voice, and the personality in that connected with me. So that inspired me to start writing songs. And
You
there's
wrote your
this.
first song what year?
I wrote my first song in 2008.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm so much older than you do. I'm like your grandfather.
Yeah.
So 2008 was the first song you wrote. Do you remember the title?
Yes, it was called Love Over Love.
Love Over
Um,
Love, great title.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, back then this Garage Band has just came out on the Apple laptops.
Hmm.
You could record music and add loops and stuff. So I used that to create my first song, and I still listen to it.
So
It's not,
you grew up in the age of the internet. You didn't know any different. So you
yeah,
had any guitar teacher you wanted at the tip of your fingers. Unlike me in 60, when I started playing in 63, 64, 65, whenever it was, I mean, literally I had to have a teacher.
yes.
Um, and if there was a song I wanted to learn, I wasn't good enough to pull it off the record, so I would take the song into the teacher, and they teach me the song. I don't know if you ever heard of the guy, but in the early '70s, my teacher was the guy named Ted Green, and he
I
wrote the
have
book
heard.
Chord Chemistry.
I've heard of that name, yes.
So that's the kind of teachers I've had in my life. Anyways, we were talking about your
My high
first
school band.
song in high school band, Be Stills.
Yes. So the B stills, you know, at that age, I just had so much
By the way, that's
drive.
Bistills for those that don't know, right?
It's B-E, like
B E S
the
T I
word
L
B,
L
yeah,
S.
be
Yes.
still, like
One
be
word.
still.
One
One
word.
word, yes.
Okay.
And you know, I started writing songs for the band, and there's a few I've shared with you some of the songs, the English songs I sent you. One of them was "Find Me Again," "Tell Me," two songs that I had written and composed and sung for the Be Stills. And you know,
Did those songs make it to Janoon or no?
so those songs kind of found their own radio play themselves. You know,
Oh, that's fantastic.
107.1 The Peak up here in New York, very popular indie rock station, started to play that song, you know, on their
Was
playlist.
it a internet radio station or was it also terrestrial?
This was on in the car when
So
you
FM,
tune
FM terrestrial. We
FM
call that
FM
terrestrial
radio.
radio. Yeah.
Oh, you call it okay.
Yeah.
I just learned something there. So yeah, so that made its way to radio, and we were just, you know, pumped. Like our first song just got radio play, and you know, what we were doing, we were doing what any band does when they
And you
start
were
playing.
16, 17 then?
Yeah, we were 16, 17, and this band sort of continued till college too. So we were playing restaurants, bars, you know, pubs, anywhere we could get a gig, we would play those. And we had developed a very good fan
Following?
following in
Yeah.
tri-state area. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, so and this was so you know, I actually started with English music if you think about it. I started composing more American rock music. I hadn't really gravitated yet towards my Pakistani roots, you could say. I
But
was
you've
doing
gone back now, huh?
now I've yeah, that change came.
So Sufi Rock is now part of what you write.
Yes, Sufi rock is what I do mostly, and it's still bringing in my Western influences. But I actually put out an album. So in 2021, like while COVID was just, you know, and we were in the middle of it, um,
Hmm.
I took that time to write music, and this was the music that would become like for the Pakistani audience, and in that, there is an English song too, which I sent you, The Light. And that was a song I wrote just to inspire people to have hope because we were going through this really tough pandemic.
So far everything I've heard is kind of spiritual.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think that definitely comes from, you know, my growing up, my parents, you know, the values they taught me. I think it's just to spread light as much as you can in the world.
And we'll talk about Larry DeVoskin towards the end of the show here, but
Yes.
that's Larry's thing. Absolutely,
Oh yeah,
love is it. So
absolutely. And that's also a really cool connection when we get to that too. Yeah. So, um, this album I put out, so this was my first crack at you have the pressure of living up to your dad's name, that's always there. So I put out this album, and Gary, I have to say it was very well received, from
When
the
you say
Southeast.
very well received, how many albums did you sell?
So, because now we're in that digital world, I can't really
So
say.
Spotify already crushed you.
Spotify, yeah, yeah. The streaming, it did really well on streams, and
So
you
when you
know,
say really well, million streams, 2 million streams for one song, were you in
you
that
know,
stratosphere?
I'm sure at this point it must be there, but because I had just put out that music, must have been in the 100,000, just when I put it out from scratch, with
No,
no
it's fantastic.
label, yeah, no
What
label.
validation.
Yeah. And for me, that really, I take everything as signs in the universe. Like if
Hmm.
something is clicking, or if something seems to be apparent in your life, if it keeps coming,
There's a reason behind it.
there's a reason behind it. So I looked at it like, okay, let me focus my attention now on this music. Um, and one of the songs is called Chan, made it to the BBC radio, and was on the top five charts for 3 consecutive months,
Well,
which
damn,
was
you're famous, dude.
so that
Uh,
was a cool moment for me, to have that. Yeah.
all right, well, we have to take another break. We'll be right back with Sherjan Ahmad, right?
Climb up and see this life with me. Up high, away from all the noise. Don't you look down, don't look around. 'Cause everybody wants to bring you down. 'Cause it feels like they're out to get you. And it knows your every single move. Tell me you won't. Tell me you won't. Tell me you won't bring you down. These voices creeping in my mind. I can't stop until I flip the light. Don't you look down, don't look around. 'Cause everybody wants to bring you down. 'Cause it feels like they're out to get you. And it knows your every single move. Tell me you won't. Tell me you won't.
We're back. So, Sirjan,
You won't.
you were just telling me about an HBO documentary you were involved with.
Yes. So this documentary was around the time when I was doing music with the B Stills. My father, had this opportunity where he had to do music for this documentary. And he just very innocently just threw it out to me like, "Oh, HBO documentary." Uh, and I was like, I was so focused on my own music at the time. But one night I was just like sitting on my laptop. And this is during the time when the production team of the documentary, the producers, they're trying to think of a theme song for this documentary. And there's been so many drafts coming, in and out. They can't figure out what to do. So I just on my laptop one day started, noodling around on my software, on my music software, and I created
Your
almost
DAW?
my DAW, yeah, my DAW.
What is your DAW? Pro Tools or
I use Logic Pro.
okay, cool.
Works really good with me. And I just was in this zone where created this really cool bed, with pads and percussion and just atmospherical inspiration. And I just sent
Ambient music
ambient music, yeah, and I just sent it to them.
to
I didn't really
HBO,
to HBO, and I had no.
and they took it.
Yeah,
That just doesn't happen in life, man.
they write back and they're like, "This is it. This is what we want." And the track then started to build off that the thing that I sent in. And Gary, this is the icing on the cake where for me, at that time I was a teenager. Peter Gabriel is also on this track now.
Jeez.
So to see him do his, work and his magic, I was just blown away. And
He
to be
died too young, didn't he?
Peter Gabriel, I think he's
Yeah.
still alive.
What is he?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought he kicked.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
nowadays.
glad he's still alive. I must be oh, I know who I'm thinking of. Never mind. The guy that did that great claymation video, um, the like one of the first claymation music videos ever done. Who am I thinking
Oh,
of? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Let's stick with so you get accepted by HBO from something you just sent in
Yeah,
off
totally
the
random.
cuff,
Off the
totally
cuff.
random. That's just, I mean, I got to tell you, that just doesn't happen in life, Sherjan. So,
You're absolutely right, Gary. And I was mentioning earlier, moments like that, I feel like that's what the universe and God makes happen, where
hmm
you don't have that control, but it just manifests, itself.
what projects are you excited about right now, and what can fans expect through the rest of this year and into 2026?
Well, Gary, I'm working on a new album these
With Larry
days.
DeVoskin?
Yeah, so let's go to Larry DeVoskin. Yeah, so this year has been a very, very cool year. So Larry DeVoskin and I
Who
connect.
is my manager, by the way?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
awesome. So Larry, as you know, Gary, is a wonderful human being, and I think the word to use would be light, love, and peace, for someone like him, because he exudes that, just talking with him and working with him, that's the energy that you are surrounded by. And I connected with Larry a few years ago with Taylor, my friend, that I mentioned. He was in the studio and
Taylor O.
Taylor
Oh,
Simpson.
oh, Taylor Simpson. Okay.
Yes. Larry was listening to some of my work. He was listening to the work I'd done with the B Stills, the solo album I had just put out at the
And I
time.
can't get him to listen to one of my songs. So
Sorry to hear that,
no, no, he'll listen. He'll listen. He
Gary.
just doesn't say anything.
And by the way, thank you to Larry for putting us together as well. Like that, grateful to him for that too. Um, so he invited me to the studio, and he was working on this track called "This New Age."
Oh,
Now,
that's his Led Zeppelin. He calls it his I can't think of the Led Zeppelin song. I should be shot.
Stairway to
Stairway to
Heaven.
Heaven. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is his Stairway to Heaven. So yeah,
yeah.
great
So,
track.
this new age, I walked into the studio just thinking it's another session, just another collaboration with another artist. Um, and we sit in that studio, and I remember as I was recording, energy just felt so easy, so natural, that whole recording session was just amazing. And I left there, with a great connection with Larry and recording a great song. And then just this year, I find out it's being considered for a recording, a Grammy award. So
Oh, congratulations.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, so we're just, overjoyed and really humbled that, the Academy is considering this new age for Grammy
Oh,
Award.
so you play on this new age?
I did,
Because there's
yes,
two younger brothers that I know played on it with Larry.
yes, familiar faces, yeah.
Familiar faces, right?
Oh, they're so talented, and I've been checking out their gigs. They post
Well,
online.
tell them to come on my show because
Yeah.
I've asked them and they haven't responded, so they're missing
Oh
out.
wow. I mean, being on your show, I mean, I think everyone should be on this show. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Sherjan. Um, uh, are you writing more English Urdu bilingual material? How do you decide language per song?
That's an awesome question. So, it's crazy. I was just thinking about this a few days ago, where the new body of work that I'm, creating, I don't want to limit myself to one genre or one specific audience. I feel like in the world that we live in, you can reach out to massive audiences, global audiences. And I've started to see this thing where other language music is crossing over now here, in the West as well. And what I plan to do is I plan to create both, English music and my
Sufi Rock.
Sufi rock music as well. I think definitely in the world we live in, you can do anything.
Absolutely. Touring plans, US, Pakistan, Middle East, Europe, any festivals on the radar?
Yeah, so there's a lot of tours and shows being planned out for the coming year, 2026. Just this past year has been really busy.
Hey, can I open for you?
I'd be honored.
Check me out tonight. You won't want me, I promise.
I mean, if we jam
I'm
out to
like
some
Neil Young
Hendrix,
doing Hendrix.
yeah, I'd love to jam with you on Hendrix for sure.
Well, that's the one thing I say I've got down pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I do songs like Third Stone from the Sun. Uh, we played that on rehearsal on Friday. I play Spanish Castle Magic.
Ooh,
I
love that
play
one.
Castles Made of Sand. And of course Purple Haze and Wind Cries Mary and all those.
Lil
But
Wayne, Lil Wayne.
oh yeah, I played Little Wing. I got it down. Um,
Yeah.
and I actually can sing over even Castles Made of Sand, the breakdown part. I'm able to play it and sing it. So uh,
Wow.
and it's kind of like patting your head and doing
Yeah.
circles on your stomach. But
Two jobs at once. Yeah.
yeah, yep. So, anyways, tours and you're planning 2026.
Yes. So I'm gonna be touring. This past year I've just been touring across the U.S. and Canada. I went out to Austin, Texas just
What
recently.
size venues?
So I'm playing theaters, auditoriums at the moment. But when I go out with Janoon, we're doing, stadiums and
Dude, that's
arenas.
so huge. I'm
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Gary, we played in Dhaka, Bangladesh, in 30,000 people. This army stadium we played. It was just like wow, like something you're like, oh, I see that on TV
A
but to
sea of
be
people out in front of you.
sea of people, yeah, it was that was totally that was like a huge exciting gig for me, like playing that.
Well, I'm so honored you're on my show. I can't tell you. You've talked about being an emerging artist with a legacy at your back. How do you carve out your own lane? And you've done it already. So how did you do it?
Yeah, that's thank you for that question. That's one that is in my mind also quite a lot. Being coming from a legacy and already such great success in music, it's tough, like to create your own identity and not be kind of drowned out in the shadows of that. But I'm realizing both can coexist. Like I can carry that legacy and tradition, but at the same time, I can showcase my own voice, my own identity. Um, and I feel like if you do something with the heart, you have no regrets because you're doing what you love and your truth. Like
I
you're not-
agree with you 100. I agree with you 100%. My thing growing up was sports. First was equestrian, which is horse riding, which I came back to in the 2000s. And then I became a national class motocross racer, then ski racer, bicycle racer. So that was my background, but music was always underneath it all, kind of driving me. Uh, Anyways, I could talk to you for hours. Um, we're going to take a break, and our final segment is going to be our lightning round, where I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're just going to give me what comes up the top of your head. And unfortunately, I want to spend some more time about Larry DeVoskin, but I'll have you back on my show. So I heard rumors, Sherjan, that you're going to be playing or that you have played at Gracie Mansion.
Yeah, so Gary, just a few months ago, New York City Mayor Eric Adams organized the first ever Pakistani Heritage Reception, which was held at Gracie Mansion at his residence. And I was honored that he invited me to perform there, and being the first ever Pakistani artist to perform at the mayor's residence. So that was a huge
Next
honor.
stop for you is the White House, right?
Hey, I mean, yeah, I would love to, any opportunity to represent my roots and my culture and, once again, the United States and New York is my home too. So it's just great to be sort of like an ambassador, you could say, to of the East and the West and, share my music anywhere I can go.
Sure, John, we're going to do rapid fire, which I like to do at the end of every show. Desert Island guitar amp and pedal. Shoot.
Ooh, could you repeat that again?
Desert Island guitar amp and pedal. So
Ooh,
what would
which
be
one
your
would I
dream
bring?
guitar? Which would be your dream amp, and which would be your dream pedal?
Oh, okay. My dream guitar.
If you
Um,
only could have three things with you, the guitar, the amp, and the pedal.
so definitely PRS guitars. Um,
I got to tell you a quick story.
yeah.
Through my broker, I sold my 1955 Stratocaster to Carlos Santana. Carlos
No.
Santana and Larry DeVoskin are friends,
Yeah, yeah, of
as you
course.
know.
Yes.
I regret selling it. It's the biggest mistake I ever made. But uh, through my broker and through the deal, I ended up with a PRS private stock.
Wow.
So that's one of
Awesome.
the guitars in my collection. So we were talking about Desert Island guitar amp and pedal. So guitar
PRS.
is a PRS. What's the amp?
I'll go with a Fender Deluxe tube amp. And for
Not a
my
Marshall Plexi.
ooh, I love Marshall, but there's something about Fender amps that just does it for me.
Okay.
And the pedal I would go for uh lines, anything line six, or Boss pedals. That would be my
Like the green uh what's the heck? The tube screamer. Tube
the tube
screamer.
screamer. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the digital delay, the tube screamer, and the chorus pedal,
Now
anything.
those are three pedals. You can only have one.
Oh, one. Oh, okay. All right, I'll go with my line six Pod Go wireless.
Okay. Uh, all right. One riff that always gets you in the zone.
Ooh, it's a tough one. Whole lot of love, Led Zeppelin.
Hum it for me. Dun, 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 dun. You need schooling. A song you wish you had written and why?
Ooh. So there's a song by Coldplay called Yellow, and I
Mm-hmm. Know it well.
just love that song. Just the whole composition. It's only like three chords, but it's so big. Just the guitar parts, the layers, the melody, the vocal melody, and the lyrics. That really inspired me to write songs. Stuff like that.
Okay, we got to stop. Next one. Dream collaborator for 2026,
Wow. Um,
other than me.
now could this be artists from like
Anybody you want from any era.
anyone? Wow. You know, Coldplay, I think Chris Martin would love to collaborate with him because he's one of the guys who's inspired me to,
Well,
really,
now that you've said it on my show, the chance of it happening is much more likely.
well, I hope so.
One city you're dying to play at that you haven't yet.
Ooh, I'd love to play um, Paris, France. I still haven't been there.
All
I'd love
right.
to go
Paris Fans is calling you. Best
there.
advice your dad, Salman Ahmed, gave you about music or life.
Ooh, so my dad, he's very inspirational and always gives me great advice. But one time I remember he told me, when you see with the heart, all the masks fall down. So basically, he was saying was follow your heart, and it'll lead you to where you have to go and where you need to be.
That's beautiful, man. It really
Thank
is.
you.
Um, uh, so this has been Sherjan Ahmad. Do you have a website?
Yes, so you
I
can
will
check
put
out,
it in I will put it below, but give us your website.
sure, it's www.sherjanahmad.com.
Okay, and Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. So my Instagram is instagram.com/SherjanAhmad or at Sherjan Ahmad. And my Facebook is facebook.com/SherjanMusic. And my YouTube is youtube.com/SherjanAhmad or Ahmad, depending how you pronounce it.
How should you pronounce it?
So I've grown up to say Ahmed, but it doesn't sound like it when you look at it. It almost sounds like the ah is in there,
Well, I'm sorry I've been butchering it this whole
No, no, no.
whole
You've
time.
actually been saying it the best than when I was going to school.
Okay, uh, so thrilled and happy to have you on my show. My subscribers are going to go nuts over this interview, and stay with me for just one more minute, and I will be back. This is the Gary Dranow Show, and until next time.